All right, I'd like to call to order the, what is this, August 25th, 2025 Mountlake Terrace Planning Commission meeting to order. Staff, would you please take the roll?
Okay. Commissioner Morgan. Commissioner Landis.
Present.
Commissioner Landis. Commissioner Thompson.
Here.
Commissioner Wu.
Here.
Commissioner Stinson.
Here.
Vice Chair Betcher.
Present in person.
And Chair Batista.
Here. All right, item number 3. We'll go ahead and see any changes or corrections to the August 11th meeting minutes. I am not hearing or seeing any, so we will go ahead and declare those accepted as presented. Item number 4, public comment. Let the record show there is no public in attendance tonight. And just double check with staff, do we have anybody who has submitted online or wanting to speak? All right, I'm being shown that we have nobody online or any written submitting excuse me, I'm all tongue-tied tonight. All right, move on to item number 5, public hearing for zoning for 24229 48th Avenue West, annexation.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Sarah Pizzo, Senior Planner here at the city, and I'll be discussing the zoning of the property located at 24229 48th Avenue West. So this property is in the process of being annexed into the city of Mountlake Terrace. It's currently in unincorporated Snohomish County, and per council direction, and the municipal code, the planning commission is required to make a recommendation to city council regarding the zoning designation for this property. So I'll be going over summary, legislative history, comprehensive plan, adjacent zoning, SEPA, make an official request to planning commission, and provide a staff recommendation, discuss next steps, and then there'll be time for discussion and questions. All right, so the proposed annexation area, as I said, is located at 42229 48th Avenue West. It's about 0.4 acres or 17,269 square feet. The annexation area has city limits on all 4 boundaries of the property and is within the Mountlake Terrace urban growth area, which means that the county has done regional planning to say that this area is one day to be annexed into the city of Mountlake Terrace. And the property owners are interested in connecting to city sewer services, which is why they'd like to annex. And they filed petitions to do so with the city on July 9th and July 21st. And the county assessor provided a certificate of sufficiency on those petitions, meaning they met all state law requirements. We received that from Snohomish County on July 28th of this year. So some legislative history. Back on June 12th, council was introduced to the notice of intent to commence annexation proceedings from the subject property owners. And then on June 26th, council took action on the notice of intent to commence annexation proceedings and passed resolution 914, which accepted the proposed area of annexation. It authorized the circulation of the petition. It required the zoning adoption at the time of annexation and required assumption of existing city indebtedness. And then on August 7th, the council set a public hearing date of August 21st for the public hearing on the petitions, and that is where we are to date. The public hearing will be moved to a date certain of September 4th to continue the public hearing. But the reason we are before the Planning Commission again is because of the required zoning adoption that is required at the time of the annexation adoption. So the comprehensive plan has two elements that relate to annexations, the capital facilities element and the land use element. So policy CF 2.4 requires annexation before providing services to unincorporated areas. That relates to the sewer service that they are interested in connecting to. And then the land use element says that we are to work cooperatively with Snohomish County to ensure future annexations have a smooth and orderly transition to city governance. The comprehensive plan land use element also shows this property having the land use designation as R1, residential 1 land use, and you can see that on our comprehensive plan land use map on the left, and then zoomed up on the right and enclosed in the red rectangle. The purpose of residential 1 land use designation is to provide land for detached single household residences, duplexes, and other complementary uses while encouraging a clean and healthy environment, safety, walkability, neighborliness, affordability for a range of income levels, and adequate open space. And these residential buildings would have a maximum height of 3 stories. The site's existing use is a single household residence, 1 story, and associated improvements. So the existing use complies with the stated purpose of R1 land use designation in our comp plan, Vision 2044. The adjacent zoning designations to this property are R1 and Recreation and Park District. The property meets the minimum lot area required in R1 zoning, which is 4,800 square feet. The subject site is well over that at 17,269 square feet. And so the minimum lot area requirement is met. SEPA is required as part of the zoning designation process, and the Snohomish County zoning designation is single-family residential R8400. The proposed city designation is residential 1 that staff recommends, and adopting an R1 zoning designation is not expected to have any indirect or direct impact on the environment. So the request of staff is to provide a recommendation to City Council regarding the zoning for this property located at 24229 48th Avenue West, and staff recommends designating this property as R1 or residential 1 zoning. And so here is an image of the zoning map with the proposed zoning designation filled in, as you can see, in alignment with the neighboring residential properties. So the next steps are staff will forward the Planning Commission's zoning recommendation to City Council, and City Council will vote on the zoning designation as well as the annexation ordinance. All right, now we have time for discussion and questions.
Did anybody have any questions? I know we talked about this a lot previously, so let me just double check with our online commissioners. Any questions or discussion points?
No.
None here.
Okay, so we'll go ahead, and I'm looking for a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to open the public hearing?
I have a motion to open the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
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 Hearing none, that motion carries. Again, we don't have an applicant present. Planning commissioners, any questions for non-present applicant or staff again? All right, not hearing or seeing any. Usually this is the point where we would call up the general public for any kind of comment that they have on this matter, but let the record show again, there is no comment, public in attendance tonight. Just double checking one more time, we have nobody who has signed up to speak on this matter online. All right, being indicated that there is nobody online to speak to this matter. So we will go ahead and go to the next item here, and that would be a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
I have a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. The public hearing is now closed. Again, this is one last opportunity for Planning Commission to have any kind of discussion on this matter. And once again, I am not seeing that any discussion is necessary. So now I am looking for a motion.
I move to recommend to deny, approve, or approve with the following, or do I have to read it verbatim? I don't think there are any,
I think-
are there any modifications? We have no modifications.
I don't think we have any modifications. I think if we want to be safe, we could say with any technical corrections, but I don't
Okay.
think we have any technical corrections in this case. I think for this, since there was no objection to this, I'd probably move to recommend.
All right. I move to recommend to approve with the following modifications and any technical corrections to designating 22429 48th Avenue West as Residential 1, R1. Anyone want a second?
Second.
All right, I have an motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Oh, for the record, there are no technical amendments.
Yeah. And opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. All right. So I think that is all that staff needed from us on this, correct? Okay, I guess we're ready to move on to item number 6.
Director has nothing to share with you this evening. Happy to answer any questions if anybody has one. Otherwise, we're continuing to work on zoning and critical areas ordinance and housing action plan. And I looked at your agenda for next time. I believe you have urban forest management plan, public hearing, and another item that I can't recall, but you'll start seeing those other items at your next meeting. And I can't share with you status of Commissioner Landis at this time. I have a note to report back to you guys on filling that position. I believe Commissioner Landis said he could be on the Planning Commission through October, but we'll try to get that filled as fast as we can through City Council.
All right. I did have one quick question. The draft ordinance that was submitted as part of the packet for the public hearing that we just had, it looks like we're kind of past a lot of the dates on the draft. Obviously, this is more for City Council than for us.
Oh, yeah, the date the dates were revised. I'll take note of that, so.
Okay.
Thank you for pointing that. I think Sarah knows that, but I'll point it out to make sure.
Awesome. Especially since they have to have that
Yeah,
public notice period before going.
yep. And just so you know, the reason why that date was continued was for notification. We had made an error on notification and the address, and so to be cautious and to make sure procedurally and technically we were correct, we renoticed that. So that's just making sure that that was done correctly with the council as well. But that wasn't due to comment or anything like that. It was just an error on our part. So that's a reason.
All right. So item number 7, miscellaneous business. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I had a question.
Sure.
I was curious if there was an update for the Veterans Park Trail.
Oh, of like when it's going to get completed?
Yeah,
the-
I know,
the
like, a few
improvements?
meetings ago, we heard that they were still waiting on some supplies.
Right. My understanding is that, and I haven't got an update, so it's still tentatively late October, early November was what they were anticipating to complete that.
Okay.
I can check on that, though, and report back to you guys as far as if there's any changes to that, but
Great. And is it going to connect to the transit center, or is it going to dead end until Candela finishes?
yeah, so it's one of two things. It's either Candela puts it in place, or there is a timeline that was an agreement that if Candela didn't get it completed by a date certain, and I want to say that is 2027. And the reason why is the interface of the construction with Candela and the trail was the agreement. But yes, the trail through Vets, the whole, the whole reason we have that is absolutely, it's supposed to hook up. And when we did the conditional use permit for the light rail station, Sound Transit was going to end the trail and have people walk down steps. The city opposed that because I call it Frogger. Basically, you're having people come down steps right where the bus loop is. And so then you have, you know, pedestrians trying to cross right where the buses are coming through, which we didn't think was optimal for the pedestrians or the bus drivers. And also just to make it more ADA compliant. So if people had some mobility issues or whatever, that were going all the way to the sidewalk and having people come down that little distance there. So that trail is to go out to the sidewalk and then down when it's completed. So that's kind of, yeah, that's.
So I think one thing that will help when that trail opens is if you've got I think communicating the timeline is important, because I think that's going to surprise people when
Yeah.
the trail opens and like they walk there and then they just, you know, lemmings into the big barrier.
Yeah.
And I think what would be even better is if we have like an interim option. Like if there is like, you know, maybe it's suboptimal, but like, you know, crossing the bus loop temporarily and going down the stairs while it's not fully compliant. Like I think people are going to wind up asking for some kind of interim measure. Otherwise, people will just like start hopping fences and stuff. So
I don't disagree with you. Let's just say that there were various viewpoints of not getting the trail put in, but that's what was ultimately agreed to. But case in point, and I will share your opinion with others.
thanks. Yeah, I think the most important thing is that we have communication there when the trail opens and it's less than expected.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's kind of like when the trail initially closed in the first place, right? And folks trying to use the trail, and then all of a sudden, and then a fence is still up. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks. That was my business I wanted to bring up.
Well, actually, you bringing that up reminded me of something to ask the director as well. Since Revive I-5, at least for this year, is over, did the city see any kind of increased parking impacts with people trying to use the light rail station during that construction phase?
You know, as far as I know, there hasn't really been any issues that I'm aware of so far. But in saying that, as I'm not sure, I haven't parked in the parking structure, but my understanding was that Sound Transit had announced that they were going to charge for parking in the parking structures at some point. And I think when that happens, there will definitely be impacts of people parking in other locations. So I'm not sure of what that status is. Somebody told me that that's happening in Linwood already, but I can't verify that. I usually don't go to the Linwood Light Rail Station. I go here. I've always got a parking space on the surface parking, and as a couple weeks ago, and there was no payment required. So I'm not sure what the status of that is, but I would think that would be a game changer.
Do you think that there would need to be some additional action by the city to mitigate that?
Well, Sound Transit is still on the hook for doing a parking analysis and mitigation, and I don't know. Sound Transit was in negotiations to purchase the parking garage from Community Transit. That's been ongoing for quite a number of months. I don't believe that that's happened so far. So if that's kind of what the plan is, to acquire the property and then do such, or, and again, I'm not sure of what that timing is, because we don't control that conversation, or, we're not told a lot about that.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question, because I was like, that's not their garage.
Yeah, well, not yet. But so we'll see if that occurs. And yeah, because like in Linwood, they built the garage. A different scenario than what we have here in the city, which Community Transit still owns the garage structure. We have a temporary certificate of occupancy is what we call it. And for those people not readily in the building department, and then we have what's called a final certificate of occupancy, and Sound Transit has been running on a temporary certificate of occupancy to open the station, but there's multiple sites that were part of the permitting process for Sound Transit, other than the actual rail track, which is in right-of-way of DOT. And in those cases, there is remaining work that needs to be done by Sound Transit to fully close out that permit. And then there's also road improvements, resurfacing, et cetera, that needs to be agreed on for impacts of construction of trucks, et cetera, on the haul routes. And that's still an open negotiation as well. That's all part of required pieces of that permitting process, as well as the trail connection, as well as other things that still need to be completed.
And anecdotally, maybe to your question that might be related to parking, I do feel like I've noticed more cars parking on the side of 58th coming up from 236, kind of like it was before the pandemic. So that parking management for the neighborhood might wind up coming back as an issue that people might want to start asking about sooner rather than later.
I fully expect we're going to have parking management in the city. If at the point where we have active redevelopment in town center, and you have active redevelopment, even if you don't have redevelopment in some of the residential districts, but we know there's going to be some, then there's going to be a lot more pressure to find parking. In addition to that, we have the radius where we can't require parking, right, as part of our middle housing, which is around the light rail station. So ultimately, we're going to get into a situation where parking's a premium. Business owners are not going to want their parking lot filled with transit commuters who park in their parking lot all day so their customers can't go there. City Hall's not going to want to have the parking lot full of commuters where people can't park, public and employees. So, I mean, if you think any stretch down the road, ultimately there's going to be a conflict as far as parking goes and monitoring that and how that gets achieved. I mean, just, as more pressure gets put on that.
Again, this probably is a question or point that warrants further time and effort. We kind of talked about it briefly during the, recent town center update, but the idea of having shared parking facilities. Thornton Creek is a good example where they have certain levels of their parking is designated for commuter between, X and Y period of time. Obviously, developers don't want to have to build any more parking than they have to, especially structured parking. But even our late great mayor even mentioned having another parking garage right down there. And I just think that the only, obviously we want people to use transit to get to the transit station, but that's not always possible or feasible. And
Right.
the demand is only going to increase.
Yeah.
And there needs to be some sort of relief valve because the right-of-way can't take it.
I know that for the Candela project, which is the property adjacent to and east of the transit center, that one site with the wall, is their intention is to come back and do more underground parking. I believe both as a financing mechanism for funding, and also I would envision that those spots could be sublet out for commute parking because it's going to exceed, they meet the parking requirement right now in our code. So I would think that would be the optimal place to put additional parking and sublet those out, which I know that, various buildings do in other communities.
Is that going to push them back on their development timeline since more structured parking would probably require more shoring and engineering?
We'll have to take a look at it, but my understanding is they're getting ready to mow in December is last I heard. So I don't think by any stretch it's going to set them back that much, right? I mean, it's, if there's a couple of modifications, I don't think it's, going to take a ton of time to review, particularly if it's underground, right? And we're exceeding the threshold, so.
And then possibly the other developers and other property owners that are sort of just waiting in the wings, probably because of combination of finance and national economic situation right now.
Yeah.
If they see that as a successful venture, then they'll maybe integrate that into their
Yeah, they
proposals as well.
possibly could. I think we're going to see building 4 at Terrace Station in not too distant future. I don't know if that's what they're intending as well. We did a pre-application conference a handful of months ago. There wasn't extra parking, but yeah, I don't know if that would be something that they're thinking about now or not. So, and we haven't received an formal application for that, but yeah, I mean, as I always say in this business, it's not real until we start construction and it's about at least halfway done. And then you can probably bet that the construction will be finished. But until then, we can get through permitting, we can do all kinds of things. And at that point, there's just factors out of the city's control, right? And funding and all those other things, you know, play into all these things. So, yeah, I guess we'll see what it looks like in the next few months.
Great, thank you. Anybody else have any questions, comments? All right, not seeing any, so we'll go ahead and move on to item number 7, miscellaneous business. I call the planning commission. Does anybody have any miscellaneous business? Any known absences, vacations coming up?
Just a reminder that I will be out for the next meeting that we voted on last week, or last meeting.
Thank you. Anyone else?
And I will be out of that meeting as well, but I think that was discussed previously as well.
We
All
got
right.
both those noted, yep.
Just one last call, double checking. Anybody else have any miscellaneous business? All right, not hearing or seeing, we'll go ahead and declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, thanks.